Plugging into the Matrix. Welcome to Hacking Business Technology. I am one of your hosts, Matt Barron.
Hello, and I am Mark Kawasaki.
This is a bizarre world on Hack Biz Tech today. Oh, I didn't realize I was going for the recreational look here.
Come on, pro up.
Oh man, I should be all the way up to my chin now. So what's interesting is I'm in a different office now. I'm not in my home office anymore. This is my new job.
Ah, so you got a space?
I got a space. I have an office.
Wow.
With a door, which actually, is, of course, it's an incredible perk and people love it and it's nice to have. But it's also bad too, because then you've got this space where you're removed from everyone immediately as soon as you start. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, it's not a shared space, it's just yours.
It is. It's just mine. And like right out the door, the development team is right there. What's also fairly strange is the development team doesn't even have cubes. They are literally desks, like just scattered. Amongst like couches and break rooms and support, and everything's kind of mixed together except for the functions that don't operate around the software. Those functions are all stuck somewhere else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, And can you go out there and walk around amongst the developers?
Of course, it's 100% flexible all of the time. What's funny is I ordered a whiteboard, and I think someone actually just showed up to install it. I may actually need to take a break at one moment, like 20 minutes. Awesome. So now we have 20 minutes to cover everything. Go.
Okay. All right, here we go. So this is a new place for you, and you left your old job?
Yeah, I left Maryville. I joined a software company in St. Paul called Kinetic Data, and they make, how would I describe it? They make request and task software that is it's not as focused on IT as most of the request software that I've seen in my day.
Right.
And what's fascinating about it, well, the reason I joined and the reason that I can believe it in it as a product is because they just rebuilt the entire thing from scratch, actually, and built it from the ground up, thinking open, thinking APIs, thinking microservices, like the modern technology.
Oh, what do you know? They must have a digital strategy.
Well, actually, and that's kind of one of the reasons that I'm here, is to sort of develop that and support it. So it's really, I think, so the reason that we're talking about digital strategy today is because on our Slack feed, Hooper actually posed this question. How did he actually state it? He said, 2 topics I would love to hear you discuss. 1, what does a digital strategy even look like? Which I think is fascinating because I think a lot of us have heard the term. And then 2, who sets the digital strategy, the CIO or the CEO? And that, of course, that's probably troll bait.
Yeah, it really is.
Because I don't think it should be either one.
Well, or both.
Or both, or everyone.
Or everyone, right. Yeah.
For example, me in marketing, I have to support it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Digital strategy, there's no reason to talk about digital strategy except for the fact that companies recognize that they need to be current, they need to be relevant, they need to be in the right places, and that requires a regular strategy along with an IT strategy that matches it. So it's just bringing it all together. That's all it really is. But what my response to that on the Slack thread was really that, people are realizing that it's not just about e-commerce anymore.
Which is a great observation.
Yeah, because 10 years ago, digital strategy would have meant something different. How can I get out of brick and mortar and get onto the web and sell my products there? But what's important now is, of course, for everyone to understand that they need to be digital in a relevant way, whether or not they're selling products online.
Right. Yes. Yes. I see sort of. There's probably multiple uses, but the way that I see it is there's two. There's sort of like the brand and marketing
Mm-hmm.
pre-sales flow of it, and then there's also like customer engagement.
Mm-hmm.
How do we keep customers involved? How do we keep them in the loop? How do we rebuild them the next time that we need to do this?
Yes. And then I would say thirdly, making sure that you're ahead of the game in terms of disruptions and know how to turn your business into something that will be relevant in an internet-based world.
Yeah. Yeah. I started writing a blog post actually about this yesterday, and how and it kind of stemmed from who should own it. And I think the only way to do what you just said, which is stay relevant, stay current, is to listen really well to a lot of people.
Yeah. A lot of people.
As many as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the marketing stuff kind of comes in, is for lack of a better phrase, market research.
Right. Yeah.
And actually finding the right things to listen to, and then also like engaging your employees and engaging your non-customers that are part of a pipeline. Just listening to them. So we're holding a workshop next week actually of this new platform that we've re-architected, and the first thing they said was, well, the user experience guy in the room said, well, what we should do, right away, people who were running the workshop said, well, let's instruct them and we'll train them and we'll go through training or whatever. And the user experience guy said, why? Just love that stuff. And so he said, what we should be doing actually is just staring over their shoulder and seeing where they expect things to be.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, and we've talked about that. As soon as you have to train, you've already failed and stuff like that,
Yeah.
It should be intuitive. It should be built into the tool, all that. But that can be a pretty radical idea for companies that don't have a good digital strategy.
Yeah, and there's other things that are hard about it. Like, how do you, if you're not digital already, how do you actually take steps in that direction, but still be able to not pigeonhole yourself, not code yourself into a corner, and say this is the only way that we are going to do it, or this is the only way we're going to go forward. It's having flexibility so that when you see new opportunities or challenges, whether it be staring over your customer's shoulder or reading a news post or whatever, to be able to influence it quickly.
Yeah.
With data.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great example, though. I mean, just user training and how do you bring your customer base along with what you're trying to do. I mean, digital strategy might be moving away from product manuals into YouTube videos or something like that, right? Which is certainly a risk because you want to make sure that your users have access. But if you don't do it and you're still sending, manuals that look like they're from the 60s, then you got a problem.
No one's going to read it. Your engagement drops. Your customers fall out of touch. They feel like they're not connected with you anymore. They get replaced by the new generation of employees, and then you're just gone.
It's the same reason why, restaurants introduce new products every year, new food choices. It's to make you feel like they are listening and that they're current and that they're trying new things and that sort of thing.
I love that analogy, actually. The restaurant analogy has been coming up a lot in my brain recently, because I think about these huge platforms we've been putting in for years. ERP, SAP, for example, or Oracle, or some giant ERP. It's sort of like you go to a restaurant. No, you're hungry. You're hungry. And then when you're looking at the different restaurants, for some reason, for so long, we've decided that we need to get into the restaurant that's the hardest to get into. We're waiting out the door. There's a line out the door. They're asking hundreds of questions of the people that are lined up outside. After you answer all these questions and you get inside, you're stuck there for 5 years. You can only eat at that restaurant for 3 years, 5 years. The more you eat at that restaurant and don't go somewhere else, the more money you're saving.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy? But what's nice is your course is really well planned out, right? Like the appetizer actually is themed with the dessert. You actually get that whole experience all in one, which is nice. But I think people want variety.
Yeah.
They want to be able to change fast. They want to be able to eat at lots of different restaurants. Because then if one starts sucking, whether it's the ambiance or the other patrons at the restaurant start to annoy you, or you suddenly look down and you're 45 years old and you didn't realize you would grow old.
Yeah.
And you're still sitting at the club, you know, you can choose, make a choice.
There's a great Portlandia episode where it's all about the brunch culture, you know, and there's the hottest brunch place that week, of course, has about 400 people in line out the door, and they're waiting in line so long that it becomes like a community in and of itself. And it's the most bizarre thing, but it's totally true. And then couple that with, like you said, that people, like everything these days, they need to go from tool to tool, from restaurant to restaurant. It's much more dynamic than it's ever been.
Take what works and leave what doesn't. You know, go get dessert at the cupcake place up the street, because that cupcake is going to be insane. And the place that you're at, sure, they've got chocolate ganache, but it's way too rich. You're going to feel sick afterwards.
Yeah, in Atlanta, there's actually a gourmet cupcake vending machine of one of the bakeries that you can go to 24 hours a day.
Just in case you don't want to see people.
Yeah, some people need that.
That's in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Oh, interestingly enough, actually, I found out today that Emory Healthcare is one of our customers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you guys use our product. I mean, you not directly, but...
That's cool.
I hear that name Emory and my ears perk up. I know him. Doesn't Mark run that place?
Oh, yes, I run it.
So, but we agree on what the digital strategy is. It's engaging digital citizens, basically.
Oh, yes, I love that. Engaging digital citizens.
And I think we agree that well, okay, so we didn't directly answer Hooper's question. We kind of vacillated and said that everyone should be involved. Yeah. So who owns it? Who's responsible for it?
CEO.
I think so too. It's the board and the CEO, because if you're not if you're not providing some oversight or guidance in that, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're even still calling it digital strategy in 10 years, then we're clueless, right? It has to go back to being strategy, right?
It's become basic. Yeah, it's part of your strategy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we agree on that. Some of the other cool things we posted on the show notes. There was a great couple of tweets.
I love the one about talent shortage.
There is no IT talent shortage. It's just that people don't want to work for your organization. And it's so true, especially if you've seen good culture. And I think, like, I don't know, in the IT space, it feels really small. Like, we all kind of know each other. And they talk about culture, not maybe like openly or do presentations or whatever, but you go to the DevOps meetups and people are like, well, what's it like working on the chef team at Target? And the people at Target are like, oh, well, they say it's like this, but then it's really like this. This is what it really is. And I think the conclusion I came to from that is really, if you're trying to hire talent, if you're trying to source talent and you're having a hard time, or even if you're just trying to source talent, culture is where you start first.
Yeah.
Because
it permeates everything. I mean, when I hear people talking about jobs in Atlanta, it's always all, it's MailChimp, everyone wants to work for MailChimp, of course. in companies like that, because there's so few that are like that.
There's so few, and usually they're not that big.
Yeah, exactly. There's not many opportunities there.
There's one here called Lead Pages, and we just mentioned 2 marketing tools I'd like to point out. There's one here called Lead Pages that everyone wants to work for, and I think there are 300 people. But they actually are growing. It'll be interesting to see how those cultures scale for companies that do grow bigger. I'm not sure how big MailChimp is getting, but Lead Pages continues to grow.
Well, I mean, and so those are the choices. You know, you've got a company like that, maybe a what is it called? Big Nerd Ranch is here in Atlanta.
We've got the Nerdery.
And your alternatives are Coke, Home Depot, you know, these types of situations, which are very different, you know,
very
not always
different.
bad, but very different.
Not always bad. And it seems like what team you joined has a large impact on how you're going to feel about your job on a regular basis. You know, if you're in finance, it might feel different than it does in IT. Or if you're
absolutely, yeah,
app dev versus infrastructure, or service desk versus field services.
But I think if you look at these smaller companies that have those cutting edge cultures, you're much more guaranteed to be part of it, even in finance or one of those areas, than you are at Coke. I mean, obviously,
it spreads.
It seems obvious to me. Yeah,
it's contagious.
Yeah,
and I think how it starts is a huge part of it. How the owner starts the company, and how they feel people should be treated. There's that crazy realization I've come to, that looking at how a company treats you when you get hired is a very quick, it's a clear indicator of the culture that you're stepping into. But I think it takes a lot of experience to understand the indicators, like actual details. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you ask me right now, I wouldn't be able to rattle them off easily.
I think something as simple as like health insurance.
Okay.
Do they have good health insurance?
Right.
Is it better than your last employer? Because if it is, they probably treat their employees better than your last employer.
Right. Yeah. They're willing to do more.
Yeah.
Even if it hurts the bottom line.
Yes. And I think these are good questions actually to ask if you are interviewing.
Totally. Yeah. No, I mean,
I
could go in and ask, you know, what's your paternity leave or something like that. I mean, those are huge indicators. I mean, what is Facebook offering now? Like a year or 2 for maternity and several months for paternity? I mean, you don't see that many places.
Ask them what the process is to get new applications. Ask them for an unsupported application and see how they respond.
Right.
You know, because a really good culture is they're gonna be focused on enabling you. My head is still actually spinning from my first day on the job. My boss sits me down in a conference room and basically shows me all the tools and says, "This is Google Docs. This is Salesforce. This is our partner portal. This is our website." Like literally going through all of the tools that we use and training me on them, because they're all cloud. They're all easy to adopt and easy to use and easy to translate from the last platform you were using. And after a day of that, I am 100% enabled.
Yeah, wow.
Using the tools, enabling your employees to use the tools that work and throw away the ones that don't.
Yeah, I'm in the process of interviewing for a director of customer service position at Emory, and one of the questions was, you know, how do we benefit from standards and, you know, these types of things? I think I gave the opposite answer that they were looking for, which is great, because, you know, I mean, people turn to the standard questions, you know.
And if you had lied and gotten the job, then they would be getting something other than other than they expected.
Oh, they need to know what they're getting with me. And
Exactly.
They either want it or they don't. So
exactly.
That's the main thing.
Be true to yourself in your interviewing, because otherwise it doesn't matter what culture you're fitting into, because you won't fit.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I want to be hired for what I am capable of doing, and that's the vision, a shared vision, right? So it's so I'm gonna if I move to the next round, I'll be doing a presentation on how to support remote users. The topic is home is the new office. How are you going to support that? So that'll be fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I can't wait to hear more. Is it external facing or internal facing?
Well, it's really a little of both.
Okay.
I mean, students, you kind of figure are somewhat external, somewhat internal. It's kind of that weird mix in education. But
they're internal until they fail or pass. Then they're external.
Yeah. So yeah, it should be fun. I mean, to me, what's interesting about it is that I mean, it goes along with digital strategy. If you want to support external users or remote users appropriately, then you have to make them feel like they are
connected,
just as much on site. Yeah, just as much connected as everyone else. It's not about technically how do we do it, obviously.
Yeah, it's about
going. Yeah, it's about going to where they are. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is part of the strategy. I just realized how crazy education is. It's one of the industries where you expect to lose your customer. The goal actually is to lose your customer.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And maybe get them back.
That's why education, especially higher education, has the best identity management processes of anyone. Because you're literally turning over users in the thousands per year.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
No, they don't have the best because they don't have the money for it.
Okay, well, they have a strong foundation that they can do something with.
They have a unique business need.
Yeah.
That they can depend on statistically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not everyone has that. Even like the big companies that have 200,000 contractors that they turn over every single year. In some cases, they can't do it as well as you because they don't know when those people are going to go in and out. You have a life cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're very beholden to contract management, where yours is kind of a little bit more dependable.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is how you hack business technology. Go write your digital strategy or get involved or both. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Adios.